Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, December 8th, and you know what that means. No, you don't. It's been 4 days since my video on the Grammys came out, going over our picks and predictions, and there's a little bit of cause for celebration today because that video is almost at 200 views right now, which is really exciting. I just want to say thank you. It means a lot to hear that. Hold on. I gotta take this, guys. I'm getting the phone call real quick. What's up? What do you mean they didn't like it? It's got 118 dislikes. Well, how many likes does it have? One? All right. Well, it seems like nobody liked the video, which is fine. You know, I'm not. It's not upsetting at all. I just need to, I need to figure out why. All right, well, maybe we can take a look at some of these comments here and determine what people might not have liked about the video. Let's see, we have 10 comments. Let's see, comment number 1. No one hates Taylor Swift. She literally has the most acclaimed and chart-topping album of the year. Okay. So this person clearly didn't like what I said about Taylor Swift. Okay. Folklore is best album this year, and no one hates Taylor Swift. Okay. So there's a couple people upset. Folklore is most critically acclaimed album of 2020 and only album that stay 8 weeks at number 1. And Folklore is the best album of the year. Okay. So people seem to be homing in on my comments on Taylor Swift, which I don't even remember, honestly, what I happened to say about her. I mean, I couldn't have been that rude, right? But everybody hates Taylor Swift.
Everybody hates Taylor Swift. Everybody hates Taylor Swift.
I will say, I appreciate your guys' input. I'm sorry that the video didn't quite meet your expectations when you clicked on it, but thank you for watching it anyway, and thank you for the feedback. You got me interested in this Taylor Swift album at least, so we're gonna do an even-handed and honest review of Taylor Swift's Folklore. Alright, so first let's get the production out of the way. I love the production on this album, especially early on in the album. There's all these solid tracks with like really good grooves and a really constant sense of forward momentum that sort of pushes you through. Later on in the album, there are a lot of slower sort of piano-driven songs and things like that, which are also mixed really well. They're just, they don't have that same groove that I was talking about. Also, there's a consistently crisp vocal sound from Taylor that is really constant as well. You know, it's almost like Taylor Swift ASMR. On a song like The Last Great American Dynasty, you have this mix of like quirky sort of sounds and smooth grooves that really keeps your attention and holds it. The production on this album also knows how to practice a little bit of restraint. My Tears Ricochet really leaves the listener with a clear feeling of emptiness rather than a really solid resolution at the end of the song. The instrumentation kind of sort of falls apart instead of, ending, really. The vocal production on August makes it sound like Taylor's sort of moving away from you and then forward back again, which ties in with the lyrical themes of like star-crossed lovers sort of losing someone. There's a lot of tension and dissonance in the mix on Mad Woman, and it really conveys this tangible sense of frustration, but it never really explodes like I want it to. It sort of implies a sense of emotional repression. Betty is like one of the sweetest tunes I've heard in a long time. Just personally, musically, I really enjoyed it probably the most on the album. Epiphany also sort of has like a hymnal sound to it. It really contrasts nicely with the surprisingly dark lyricism. I really wasn't a fan of the multi-vocal layering on Mirror Ball. I feel like I get what they were trying to do on that thematically again, but I felt like it made Taylor's voice sound really robotic. It's one of the low points for me on the album. A few instrumental highlights. That keyboard sound on 7. I honestly don't even know what to say about it. It just makes me smile. It makes me happy. and that's a good thing in my book. The really simple instrumentation on Illicit Affairs really allows the song to breathe. It allows the vocals to take center stage, and also every added accent, those little, keyboard sounds and weird, I don't even know what instruments some of them are, but they really soar over this bare bones instrumental. The riff and the guitar tone at the beginning and all throughout of the song Peace makes me feel like I'm just being wrapped in a warm blanket that smells like cookies and reminds me of home. I will say that I was left craving a few more vocal risks. Taylor's voice consistently sounds great on this album, but I feel that sometimes it lacks a little bit of expression. Even on a song like Exile that has this huge emotional build-up and sort of explosion towards the end, Bon Iver really starts like reaching up into a louder register, while Taylor Swift maintains the sort of vocals that she carries out through the chorus. She never really reaches that height that he does. So moving on to lyrics a little bit, even as a person who's not so intimately familiar with her previous body of work, I think I can safely say that Taylor's put herself on the map with, mostly songs about love, breakups, and Folklore is really no stranger to these topics. About half the songs or more, I would say, are about these topics. But I would actually say Folklore dives a little bit deeper into those topics. For example, the songs Peace and Invisible String. Peace stands out for me because it's, a more mature look at a current relationship and, being concerned for its possible future. While Invisible String is a really sweet look, again, at a current relationship and how, fate literally ties two people together. It's got to be one of the sweetest love songs I've heard in 2020. As for the breakup songs on the album, The One is a really playful and thoughtful reflection on love lost and what makes a relationship fun versus what makes one last, what makes one healthy. Exile is a really harrowing account of two estranged lovers' different perspectives on what led to their parting of ways. And then My Tears Ricochet is actually a perfect thematic follow-up to that song, comparing a breakup to a death, a literal loss of life. It feels like you're grieving after you've, been through a difficult breakup. Another great standout is Last Great American Dynasty, which is almost an entire character study in a song. It feels like you're watching a film with how detailed this account is of these characters that Taylor's talking about. It reminds one of like a Springsteen song that's almost like cinematic in its scope. I would like to see Taylor in the future focus more on, self-reflection, introspection in her lyricism. I do believe a lot can be gleaned from, looking at what your contributions to a relationship are. Anything like that in a breakup song always, adds a little bit more nuance to the subject matter, and I appreciate that. A couple more general notes. First of all, I really liked how a couple of the song titles sort of corresponded with their literal track listing. Obvious ones are The One is the first song on the album, Seven is the seventh. But also August is the 8th month of the year and also the 8th track on the album. I love stuff like that because I'm a nerd and I just think it's cool. Another little thing I noticed, if I could draw your attention to this graph, there seems to be a direct inverse correlation between how much energy is applied to the instrumental of a song versus how likely it is that Taylor is actually in a happy relationship. You see Hoax all the way up here at the end of the graph, the lowest energy wise, but also the highest in terms of likelihood that Taylor's actually in a happy relationship. So if you really examine this graph, you'll see that it's perfect scientifically, and I made no mistakes. Overall, I really liked this album. I will admit it's really not my style. I tend to prefer albums that fill me with a sense of anxiety and existential dread. But as far as a Taylor Swift album, something that I, don't typically go after, this is pretty entertaining and great. 3.5 out of 5. And that's about it. Make sure you subscribe, hit a like down below, tell me in the comments what you think of this album or what you thought of this review. Thank you for watching this video, and an extra special thank you to the one person who liked my last video. You know who you are. What's up? You want to be in the video? This is Winnie. Say hi. Say hi. All right. Go do dog stuff.